What's up, leaders? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Lead From Your Podcast. I'm Jason. Today we are diving into part 5 of the time management series. In part 5, we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? We're talking about Parkinson's law. So Parkinson's law is not exactly a time management technique. It is actually a law that kind of describes how time works and how projects work and ultimately how you respond to being given a deadline. The core philosophy of Parkinson's law is that time will expand to fill the allotted time given for its completion. In other words, you'll adjust the pace of your work to fill the space given in a project deadline. So let's say you are given a project that needs to be done in 2 weeks. Even if it's a 1 to 2 day project, you're going to take all that time to get that project done. A lot of people are going to say, well, you still got the project done on time. Like, I don't understand what the issue is. And that is where the kind of the strategy comes into it. And that's where, from a leadership perspective, I'm really focused on trying to understand how it works and how people react and how to effectively handle time management within a project. Because yes, you may have 2 weeks to do this project, but very rarely is a team working on one project or one solution or one problem, right? Ultimately, they're working on multiple. So if you've got 3 2-week problems and you leave them all till the last 3 days, even if they're 1 to 3 day projects, you may not be able to get them all done in that short amount of time. So it's important for you to strategically use your time. So how do you overcome this? Okay, so this is the thing. So time, basically expands to fill the deadline you're given. So how do you overcome that? You overcome that by planning strategically, making sure that you're understanding all the work that you have going on and making sure that you're setting aside time to get it all done. Set self-imposed deadlines. If you're given 2 weeks and you think you can get it in 2 days, set a deadline for 3 or 4 days and just see if you can get it done. If you stay on top of things and you keep things moving forward, you will be shocked at how much work you can get done. Track your time. If you look at over time and you're tracking your time effectively, you'll be able to look back and say, okay, they're giving us 2 weeks, so this project took 2 days, so we should actually tell them what the actual deadline is. It's really 3 days. Or it's 4 days, or whatever it actually is for you to get that work done. And then you can effectively be more strategic when you're working with other departments or working with your leaders to help them understand what it actually takes to get this work done. Another way is to display your goal somewhere. Put it out there. Let everybody know. And that makes you more focused and want to kind of continue to drive through that, and you don't let it sit till the very end. The last one is challenge yourself. This is the one that I latch onto the most because I do a lot of different random things. Like, I have a full-time job as a director of software engineering. I have a golf tournament I help run every year for my brother. I have this channel, this podcast. I have all of this. And then I have a bunch of passion projects that I'm also very passionate about, and I want to see things move forward. And that's what actually ultimately made me look into Parkinson's law, because it connected for me that I was maybe sabotaging myself by not setting a deadline, even if it was self-imposed. Being able to effectively set a deadline and try and hit it is massive. And challenging yourself to say, hey, I think this will take 2 weeks. Let's see if I can get it done in a week. Challenging yourself is a great way to really push yourself. You may not hit it, you may miss it, and that's okay, but if you get it done in a week and a half instead of 2 weeks, you've beat the deadline by a few days, and now you're on to the next thing. That's a fantastic place to be from a mindset perspective. Now, you have to be careful with this. If you're going to implement this in your team, the challenge is touchy. You have to be careful with this. You have to really understand what's going on in your teams, inside your department, inside your company. If you're in a healthy team and you have an idea to say, like, hey, the deadline is 2 months. I think we can get this done in a month. Let's just see if we can. Let's get creative. Let's get innovative. If you're in a healthy team, that might work. You might see some amazing creativity and some amazing innovation to get to that deadline and find success together and really feed into that, feed off each other, feed off the energy, the positive energy that comes from getting somewhere faster than you thought you could. On the flip side of that, if you're in an unhealthy company and you're putting totally unrealistic deadlines out there and you're in a toxic environment, you're hurting yourself and all the worst things that you can think of: burnout, distrust, lack of empathy, lack of understanding. You just disconnect. You're just disconnected when you're putting impossible goals. It's one thing to be aggressive and maybe even overly optimistic, but to be just impossible, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's in a healthy team too. Be realistic. Don't, if it's a 6-month project, be let's see if we can get it done in a week. Be realistic. You are working with professional people. These are people that have a job and have a very specific skill set for what you're trying to get done. So be realistic. But with that being said, if you have the right environment, push, challenge, try, have fun with it. Make them have fun with it. Find ways to kind of make it a challenge, and maybe there's some kind of reward. Maybe there's a bonus at the end of it. Maybe there's all kinds of different things you can do to kind of push the envelope a little bit. Because ultimately, the thing that stuck with me is I heard a quote from somebody, and I'm honestly struggling with where I heard it from, and maybe it was from Parkinson's law, but ultimately people tend to overestimate what they can get done in a day, but drastically underestimate what they can get done in a year. And that's really where I try and focus my energy is like, okay, yeah, I'm going to try and be very realistic in what I can get done in a day. If I'm realistic in what I can get done in a day and I'm consistently getting things done day over day over day, I'm going to be able to get a lot done in a year. As opposed to somebody that has like this major goal on one day, a small goal in a year. They will still probably get there at their goal, but it's going to not be as a big of a move or as impactful as they want it to be. So it's important to push yourself to think bigger on the bigger scale and be more focused on the smaller scale. Which again, this comes back to, this is just another piece of the puzzle for me as I started looking into this and started utilizing this. It's not a one-stop shop to fix everything. It is a piece of the puzzle that is very effective at what it does, which is finding ways to not let this happen, not let a 6-month project become a year-long project because you just gave yourself a year. It's important for you to challenge yourself and think, and also track your time. Understand the time it takes to get things done. If you can build that profile, it makes it a lot easier when your boss comes to you and says, we need to get this done in 2 weeks. Cool, this kind of work, this size, this scope, it's gonna take a few months, not a few weeks. And then you can start that conversation. You have that profile, you have that data, you can back it up with data, not just a feeling, not just like, I don't want to do that, that sounds aggressive, the team won't be happy. No, you're taking real data and saying, over the last 2 years, this kind of work takes this many days. You're doing it with this many people, you're doing this much scope, it's going to take X number of months because of this, because of the data, because of whatever the work is. It's massively different. It's a totally different conversation. You can get a lot more done. So that's about it. That wraps up part 5. And I think, Parkinson's law is very powerful, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. If you look back on projects you worked on, it connects. For me, it connects for sure. I can't say that for everybody. I would imagine most people that if you worked in an industry long enough, you can see how that would connect to, sometimes you take the full time, sometimes you take more than the full time, but very rarely do you take less time. So if you are implementing this or if you've used this, please, by all means, let me know. Jason@leadfromhere.co, comment, DM. Would love to hear from you. Let other people know your struggles. Let people know what you're thinking about it. If you disagree with me, agree with me. Either way, I'm happy and I would love to hear from you. Other than that, take care of your people, take care of yourself, and ultimately, we'll talk again soon at part 6. Take care.